Welcome to Quick Chess Videos. Today we are going to see the game of the chess genius, the chess magician Mikhail Tal. This is the first time when Mikhail Tal played d4. First he only used to play e4, d4, d5, c4, e6, knight to c3, c5. This is known as the terraced defense, where black tries to immediately attack white's center with all of his pawns. The game continued e3, knight to f6, knight f3, knight c6 and a3. White is making a waiting move and he's also threatening to take on c5, and when the bishop captures it, to play b4 and play bishop b2. The game continued bishop d6. And that followed dc5, bishop into c5, b4, bishop d6 and bishop b2. Now white has a very interesting plan of playing queen c2 and going on the queen side castling. The game continued short castles, queen c2, knight e5 and long castles. Now the kings are on the opposite side, so the game is going to be a very messy one, as white's king is already quite opened. But white's pieces are more actively placed and white takes the full advantage of it. Black played queen e7. If black captures on c4, then he can take on e5 and the bishop cannot recapture due to the pin. And instead of queen e7, if black captures on c4 with the knight, then after bishop captures c4, pawn captures c4 and knight to b5, increasing the attack on the pinned piece. Knight e8, and white has a winning idea here. Knight captures on d6, knight captures on d6 and queen d2, winning by pinning. So black played queen e7, and here pause the video and try to find the attacking plans for white. This is a very crucial movement. Knight to b5, a very strong move, attacking the bishop as well as attacking the knight on e5. If instead white could have taken on d5, then after ed5, knight d5, knight d5, rook d5, and black has okay position. After knight into f3, g into f3, bishop e6, black's pieces have become totally active for the sake of a pawn, and next rook a c8 and black is taking up the initiative. So white played here knight to b5, and after knight e to d7, capturing the very important bishop, queen into d6 and queen c3, creating an x-ray attack on the king. Rook to e8. Pause the video and try to find how to open lines against the black king. g4. With the direct threat of g5, black cannot capture on g4 due to there's a checkmate threat on g7. So black is forced to defend that with queen f8. Now white plays g5, then knight e4, and as the checkmate is protected, the knight is attacking the queen and black's position is okay. So after queen f8, white played bishop to d3, knight to b6. Note that if knight captures on g4, then we can already play rook at g1 and we have a very powerful attack on the black king. So after knight b6, white played g5 and black played a very good move here, a very important move, knight a4, double attacking the queen and the bishop. White played queen c2, knight captures on b2, king captures on b2, pawn captures pawn, and from here white makes this position a total mess. White played pawn captures knight, pawn captures on d3, and if white captures on g7, then after queen captures g7 check, there would be a problem. White will have to exchange the queens. So c captures d3, queen captures d3. Black played e5. If black takes the pawn, then after queen d4, black's king is very weak. We can see in the variation queen h6, rook at g1 check, king h8, and white has a very pretty idea over here, queen to d8. The rook cannot capture on d8 as it would lead to a checkmate, and it is very good position for white after queen d8. So black played here e5, knight to g5, threatening checkmate on h7, g6. Now pause the video and try to find how to bring more pieces into the attack. h4, a very powerful move. White wants to play h5 and open the h line and create some mating ideas after e4 and queen h3. Black played bishop f5, attacking the queen. White played e4, attacking the bishop, bishop to g4. Pause the video and try to find a very strong move by white in order to attack the black king. h5. If instead white plays f3, then after bishop h5, the line gets blocked and it is very difficult to open up the black king. But after h5, white sacrifices an exchange, and if bishop captures on d1, then first taking on g6, the f pawn cannot recapture due to f7 check and double attacking the rook and the king. So black is forced to take with the h pawn, and after queen captures on d1, white has a very powerful attack, rook at d8, and here there is a very nice trick. Rook h8 check, king captures h8 and queen h1, king g8 and queen h7 would lead to a checkmate. So after h5, if black captures on h5 with the bishop, then white has again a very strong exchange sacrifice. Rook captures h5, g captures h5 and rook g1, threatening a discovery on the black king. King h8 and queen h3 with a very powerful initiative, taking the pawn, and if black tries to defend it with queen h6, then there would be knight f7 checkmate. So both bishop captures d1 and bishop captures h5 are not possible. If black captures on h5 with the pawn, then after f3, bishop e6, rook d g1, white has a very powerful attack. So instead, in the game they followed rook at d8, and here comes the starest move of the game, the brilliant idea of Mikhail Tal. Pawn captures on g6, a queen sacrifice in order to checkmate the black king. If bishop captures on d1, then there is queen h3 and h6. Then white has a mating attack after queen captures h6, queen captures h6, rook gf7, king f8 and rook captures h6, and this is unstoppable checkmate. So after h captures g6, black accepted the bait and took on d3. White took on d3 with the rook, h captures on g6, and white is full queen down, but he is yet very cool in the position. He just plays rook h7. This shows how deep Tal's sacrifice was. White wants to just play rook h1, rook d1 and checkmate the black king. If rook d8 with the idea to exchange pieces, white has again a very beautiful trick. Rook captures d8, queen captures d8 and rook to h8 check, king captures h8, knight f7, king g8 and knight captures queen, and this is probably a winning endgame for white. Black played rook c8, white continued the attack by f3. If bishop h5 here, then white can play rook to d7, and there are powerful threats. After rook captures f7, black will be practically forced to sacrifice the queen. If after f3, black plays bishop e6, Then white has a very pretty idea again to play rook to d2 with the idea rook to h2, and there would be an unstoppable checkmate. So instead, after f3, black sacrificed his bishop and took this pawn by rook to c6. White took on f7. Here it is risky to take the bishop, as after rook captures on f6, the king will escape somehow. After rook h3, black can play rook f2 check, and queen can come to d6, and black king will escape from the f6 square. The sample line is rook h8 check king g7, rook h7 check king f6, and if the white takes the pawn here, then king captures the knight, and it is all right for black, as white's king is also very weak. So instead, white decided to liquidate into a drawn endgame after rook captures f7, queen captures f7, knight captures f7, king f7, and f into g4. A rook endgame has arrived where drawing chances are very high. King captures on f6, rook to d7, rook to b6. White activates the king, king c3, king g5, a4 with the idea to play king c4 and then a5. Black played a6. If white plays a5 now, the rook can come to b5. So first king to c4 with the idea to play king c5. Black took on g4, and after king c5, rook c6 check, king d5, rook b6. The game was repeated and it ended in a draw. What a magnificent game by Mikhail Tal. Truly a magician of chess. If you loved the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe the video. Waiting for you in the next video. Bye bye.